Music is really an answer to a lot of questions. It's a constant. It just is an escape from everything. I don't spend a lot of time reflecting on things. It's always what's next, not looking back unless you can learn from it. I was born in Monroe, Louisiana. Both of my parents were teachers. My dad played jazz or old rock and roll literally constantly. There was no time the tape player was off unless he was switching tapes. And so that's all I listened to. My mother and father got divorced when I was in second or third grade. We weren't allowed to talk to Daddy on the phone. My dad would send cassette tapes. It was all jazz, blues, Duke Ellington going all the way back to the Harlem Renaissance. The tapes really became our primary form of communication. By the time fourth grade rolled around and we had the option to join band, I decided I was going to play the saxophone. I met my first wife in band. The next year, very surprisingly to us, Kim was pregnant. I was only 15, and that was difficult for sure. I ultimately went to school on a music scholarship. I was in the jazz band and the pep band and the concert band and the marching band at North Texas. By the time I graduated, Kim got pregnant again. I became more and more conscious that I wasn't going to make a living as a music major, but I never had a single thought of not continuing to go to school because that wasn't my mother's mindset, and so it wasn't my mindset. You gotta buy diapers, you gotta eat, you gotta graduate, you got to move forward. So that's what I did. In May of 2017, I was having some trouble swallowing. I hadn't been to a doctor in a very long time. I finally went to the doctor and was diagnosed with stage 4 esophageal cancer, adenocarcinoma. It had spread from my esophagus to my lymph nodes. Survival rate was 12% to live to 5 years and 3 or 4% to live to 10 years. I was very, very lucky that it was less than 20 days between the diagnosis and my first chemo treatment. On chemo, you can't really plan anything at all, and so going out to eat or going to the grocery store or going anywhere other than the bed and the bathroom is a challenge. When you're faced with mortality like that, you definitely want to live every moment or live every day like it's the last. It helped me to not be around cancer as much as I could. On the way to MD Anderson, Beth and I would stop in New Orleans for at least one night to go and hear some live music in New Orleans and just soak in the vibe that is not cancer. And it got me very interested in the different types of cocktails. And so that inspired the bar. I started to collect different types of bourbon because of the differences it made in the flavors of cocktails. Last time I counted, I had like 132 bottles of bourbon. I had never done any of this stuff before. It was a challenge. It got my mind off of everything else that was going on. When I was trying to come up with a name for the bar, Count Basie has a song called April in Paris. At the end of the song, Count Basie comes on and says, "One more time." They play it again with more enthusiasm. And then they came on again and he says, "One more once." And then they end the song with a big flourish. That's something that's always stuck with me. And when you're with family and having a good time, you don't ever really want to leave. You're trying to go one more time, and then you're like, one more once. And it kind of keeps family together a little bit longer.
Daddy likes apples. If an apple a day keeps the doctor away.
At this point, I'm about 180 chemo treatments in. I've gone through 2 5-week rounds of radiation. I've gone through a clinical trial. As of this past Tuesday, I'm 18 months cancer-free. Outside of luck, which is definitely the #1 factor in this, is mindset. It's always what is going to allow us to have the best chance to win the day and do that. Every one of those 180 chemo treatments was terrible. But instead of talking to my neighbor about whatever it was they were doing, I would listen to music because it allowed me to keep in that mindset. Going all the way back to figuring out what to do in life and moving to Georgia and having kids super young. And then the cancer diagnosis, it really comes back to do the best that you can do. Keep moving forward. If you can do it one more time, you might as well do it one more once.